From the PEP Radio newsroom, these are the stories we are covering at this hour. Former President Barack Obama lamented the federalization and militarization of state and local police functions in a social media post on X. He shared a New York Times opinion interview on the Trump administration's growing comfort in wielding federal and local law enforcement to conduct its sweeping campaign of arrests against immigrants and criminals, and whether it indicates a slide into authoritarianism. The former president wrote that the erosion of basic principles like due process and the expanding use of our military on domestic soil puts the liberties of all Americans at risk. The U.S. Secretary of State welcomed the announcement Thursday of the U.S. remaining available for nuclear talks with Iran, and that was hailed by the UK, France, and Germany to reimpose sanctions on Iran for failing to adhere to the 2015 nuclear deal. The European countries triggered the snapback mechanism outlined in the original deal that would again freeze Iranian assets abroad, halt arms deals with Tehran, and penalize any development of its ballistic missile program, among other measures. The sanctions are expected to further squeeze Iran's reeling economy. The United States appreciates the leadership of our E3 allies in this effort, Rubio's statement said, while adding that the U.S. remains available for direct engagement with Iran in furtherance of a peaceful, enduring resolution to the Iran nuclear issue. Snapback does not contradict our earnest readiness for diplomacy. It only enhances it, Rubio said. A Georgia senator has called RFK Jr. a quack. Yesterday's events are yet more evidence that putting a quack like Bobby Kennedy in charge of public health was a grave error, Democratic Senator John Ossoff said in a statement Thursday. The Trump administration has been engaged for months in a campaign to destroy the CDC, America's preeminent disease-fighting agency, he added. The administration's extremism and incompetence are putting lives at risk. The closure of Florida's Alligator Alcatraz Immigration Detention Center can proceed, says a judge. A federal judge in Miami has refused to pause her order requiring the winding down of the Immigration Detention Center in the Florida Everglades, known as Alligator Alcatraz, while the federal government appeals her ruling. And Wisconsin Governor bemoans cost of beautiful bill ahead of visit by Vice President JD Vance. Democratic Governor Tony Evers beat Vance to the punch ahead of the vice president's visit Thursday to promote Trump's big, beautiful bill. Evers says the new law will cost Wisconsin taxpayers more than $284 million between now and when it's fully implemented in 2028. Most of that comes from the law's new work requirements for participation in states' food share and Medicaid programs, and the shifting of costs from the federal government to the state. Wisconsinites aren't getting a fair shake from Republicans in Washington. That's plain as day, Evers said. Vance plans to visit a steel fabrication facility near the Minnesota border in a congressional district held by a Republican that is a priority for Democrats to flip in 2026. That's the news at this hour. On September 1st, PEP Radio will be changing our entire daily programming schedule. See our social media pages for details. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.